to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Always pieces of fruit.
Oh yeah, we love this sport, don't we, Jay? Anyway, that happened fast, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know why everything's been such a blur this season.
It feels like everything's been such a blur, and
I mean, it's your favorite thing, right? Time's a flat circle.
yeah, and at times it's felt like it's going quick, like certain parts, and at the same time, it feels like it's crawling.
It's such a slog, right?
Because when you're losing, it just feels like it
never
goes.
ends.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And that's where we're at right now.
3-9.
Last team in the league.
Tied-ish. Right?
Yep.
Their goal differential's worse than Anaheim's.
Yeah. And Anaheim is catastrophically bad. I want to read a couple things. Okay.
We'll get to Kepi's in a second, but read your thing. Yeah.
So these are just a few different stats as of November 6th. So that would have been 2 days ago. Okay.
My birthday. Yes.
So Blue Jackets ranked 27th in expected goals against per 60.
Which you never actually texted me on the day, you fucker.
Yeah. Well, I had to keep up the tradition.
Of just forgetting shit?
Yeah. I feel like it would have been not as authentic if I had remembered it.
You so
You want to know what's better than 24?
25.
No, not 25, actually 27th, because they ranked
right
27th in the league in both expected goals for and against at 5-on-5.
In for and against?
Yes, 27th. Okay. They ranked 29th in expected goals share.
And what's share?
What?
What's the share part?
Expected goals share.
Because for and against, everybody can kind of understand.
It's basically just like your expected goals percentage, like in games compared to other teams. So like,
okay,
there's just 42.9%. So that would be like, on average in their games, the expected goals for them is 42.9%, and then the difference of that 100 is to the other team.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah. And then the biggest one of all, I just want to give as much context as possible to this. Okay.
Yeah.
Goals saved above expected. Did you see it?
No, I know it's bad.
So we're dead last.
Of course we are.
But I have to read to you the two teams in front of us. 30 and 31 are Vancouver and Minnesota. Vancouver is 30th.
Oh.
At minus 7.5 goals saved above expected.
Minnesota being that low, I know they had their own rough start, but like,
Yeah, Florida's been bad. So yeah, Minnesota's 31st. Minus 8.1. Keep those two numbers in mind.
8.1 and what?
So minus 7.5 and minus 8.1.
7.5 and 8.1. Okay.
And the Blue Jackets, dead last. Minus 13.4.
Well, let's do Kepi's real quick, and then we'll address that because we're going to talk the global series as a whole and where the team's at. Who I'm pretty sure I went first last time. God, it's
wow. In a 5-1 loss where you gave up 45 shots.
Right? Yeah, it's tough. I know it's tough stretches with Kepi's, right?
Not a single player on the team had a positive plus minus in that game.
Figures, right?
Right.
And are we
Not
really
even a random Erica Branson game, you know what I mean?
Are we really getting this jaded already? Okay.
Yes. We have every right to be. I mean, I don't feel this incessant need to be positive about a 3-9 start that's been as bad as this one is.
Well, no. I'm trying to have some positivity. I mean, come on.
I feel like at some point they just don't deserve it. You know, here's my answer to that question. Who gets Kepi? I'm gonna give the Kepi to ML Bemstrom. Congratulations on getting called up to the team.
Well, then,
He's
okay.
playing
In
well.
that case,
He's in the league, in the American Hockey League.
he's
for
leading
points.
all of the American Hockey League in points. That's
So,
amazing.
You know, hopefully that will translate and he will find his game in the National Hockey League offensively. We know what he can do defensively. He's good defensively, but at least getting called up, like, congratulations to him. I hope that he could put it all together because they need guys who can play.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, you took mine, so thanks for that.
You're welcome.
So I guess in that same vein, I'm going to go with Brendan Gaunce because he was the other call up today. That was announced like an hour ago.
It tells you what you need to know about this team, that the two Kepis were given to guys who have not played.
Right, exactly. Haven't played yet. So, all right. Getting out of Kepis, just going through stuff that was announced over the course of the day. Obviously, there was the Bemer call up. We know why. There was the Gaunce call up. And the big reasons why for all of this, we got injuries and we got illness.
Yeah.
Patty's out sick.
Mm-hmm.
3 guys all missed practice. Patrick was one of them. Corrali's day-to-day, which I'm assuming Gaunce is going to take that spot.
Yeah. We'll probably move someone over to center and then he'll fill in the left wing side. So
put Foodie at center.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
probably Foodie, do that. And then you can put Gaunce on the right and yeah. And then, so Patty's sick, Corrali's out. He's only day-to-day. The big one that got updated. Voracek's gone from day-to-day to indefinite. He was day-to-day this morning. He's now indefinite.
Oof.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
That's a tough
it makes you
evaluation.
Question, yeah, like what did they see when looking at this injury that made them kind of upgrade it?
Right, and upgrade it that much.
Yeah.
So where do I even... Okay, so the Global Series was a wash.
Do we want to get into Patrick Lanning's quote about it?
Yes, I actually do want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you have it up? Because
I could pull it up real quick.
Pull it up really quick. Yeah. So 6-3. They did well coming back in the first game, and then they just collapsed again. Right. And I mean, we talked about the Moose hat trick and everything. Okay, you got Patty's quote. Read it.
Patrick Laine, after losing both Global Series games to Colorado, quote unquote, "It sucks. I'm kind of wishing that this trip had never happened after this. I feel like it was just a waste of time for all of us. It sucks." And that's all I have to say.
Oh, man. To hear that from the guy that was going home, from this, literally, he's like the biggest star in that city, right?
Yeah.
At least in terms of the NHL's concerns.
Yeah, and he's just like we talk about all the time, the superstar persona. You know, he's such a flashy player.
The outfits, pregame, all that we love.
It's just his play style, how he goes about the game. He's a really fun guy.
He's fun, but he will also, like, he's modeled after... He's literally Alex Ovechkin light. He plays the way Ovechkin plays, and he tells you like it is the way Ovi does.
He shoots the puck like Ovi. Not quite as physical as Ovi, obviously, and in that aspect, but
that can mature.
There's similarities. The consistency's not there like Ovi, but you hope that changes over time with with adding more star power to the team like Gaudreau, but
the physicality and the consistency will grow with time.
yeah.
Because remember, he's also still only 24.
Yeah.
Like 23, 24.
Yeah. And he's been in this league for quite some time now. But what I like about the quote is, it just, he had every reason, despite a 3-9 start, having gone home in front of friends and family. And
scored a goal in front of everybody.
Yeah, goal and assist, played well himself. Like, as an individual, I thought he played well.
Oh, yeah.
He had every reason to just kind of soak that in and enjoy the moment. And I just, as a fan, like hearing that it did not matter to him because they didn't win.
Yeah, and that's what you want to hear.
Like, you want to hear, like, I know people have complained sometimes about maybe his play style and how that contributes to winning games. But you can't tell me that he doesn't care about winning.
Right. And we've seen that from plenty of players already. Like Elvis was a big one.
Yeah.
And
These guys care. I don't think there's a guy that doesn't care.
No, that whole room cares.
But it's just not working.
The offense is really struggling, which is the weirdest part of it all.
Which is it's the scariest part of all of it. Like, sometimes you just don't get good goaltending. Sometimes you just get league worst goaltending. Like, if you can't get a save, if you can't buy a save, you can't buy a save. There's nothing you can do about that. But
goalies are voodoo.
Yeah. But you can control, as a forward group, what you can control, and that is your input defensively in the neutral zone and specifically offensively. And this is a group that actually was pretty good last year offensively. And you take that group, keep most of it together. Sure, you lose Bjorkstrand, but you upgrade from Bjorkstrand
to Johnny Gaudreau. And how many? Okay, there are camps in this fan base that are already like, believe me, when it comes to the fact that he signed here, I'm still on cloud 9 with this. Because I know he's here to stay.
And I don't have an issue with that. Like, I remember the feeling of what it was to get him, but once you get into the real hockey, like, when this happens and you start 3-9, that evaporates for me personally, just for me, myself speaking.
Right.
But I'm not upset at Johnny. This isn't Johnny's fault.
No, you can't blame it on one guy.
Especially the one who's leading your team in scoring.
I'm not going to blame Patrick because he got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt, and I thought he's played fine in the games he's played in.
I'm not going to blame either of Boone or Rosie.
You'd like to see a little bit more goal scoring from Rosie, but he's still, I think, tied for second on the team in scoring. So, like,
something like that. And I'm not going to blame Boone because he's not.
Or Chinikov. You mentioned Boone. Like,
Boone always puts forth 110%.
Yeah.
So in regards to at least the top 6 guys, like, can't put blame on really any of them, like, individually.
Yeah. I think we're in the reality where a lot of the fans in this fan base had significantly higher expectations than you or I did. I picked them to finish 7th. You picked them to finish 6th.
Yes.
A lot of people thought that this was a playoff team, and they're not. Obviously not. We knew that.
The hype around Johnny is the big factor in this.
Yes, 100%.
But he's not, and we said this when he signed. We said this in our preview. Yeah. We said this. We've been belaboring this point. He's not a fix-all.
No, this is the NHL.
One player's not a fix-all.
This isn't, a team who just barely misses the playoffs last year, like the Cleveland Cavaliers,
Right.
going out and getting Donovan Mitchell, and now they're 8-2 to start the season because one player in the NBA can really make a significant difference with a team.
Right.
This is the NHL. You can get a Johnny Gaudreau and get significantly worse. It's hockey. That's one of the reasons I love the sport, is because it's so multifaceted. You have so many things that go into it.
Right. Imagine, and this is a huge, what if, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll use both markets as an example. Imagine Austin leaving Toronto. Imagine Connor leaving Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is Mitch by himself going to do? What the hell is Leon by himself going to do?
But we've seen it. Mitch is good on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Draisaitl's great on his own. Now, they're even better when they have Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews with them, but it's going to be really, really good. But it's the other factor. It's the other players who drop off, not the stars. And this is just the reality that we're living in, is people thought that this was a playoff team, even though they clearly weren't. And now people are facing the harsh reality that
one player doesn't.
That we kind of already knew.
Yeah.
We kind of already knew that this team wasn't good enough to be a playoff team. But where you sit right now is you are too good to be 3-9, but you're just not good enough to be a playoff team.
On paper, this is such a far better roster than what the record shows.
It is. Absolutely.
And the biggest thing, and we talked about this last show too, is the defense is better than we expected.
Yeah. Now, granted, I mentioned earlier they fell to 27th. It was after 2 games against Colorado.
Yes, and Colorado is a machine.
Prior to that, before those 2 games, they ranked 14th. In 2 games, you dropped 13 spots. Good Lord. I know Colorado's good. They just won the cup. But again, like I said about New Jersey, the Devils are awesome.
The Devils are doing fantastic.
Are outstanding. Neither of those teams are that damn good to where they do that to you. This is not what you should expect from 2 National Hockey League teams, even if one has a clear talent advantage.
Right.
They do not look like a National Hockey League team right now.
It's a very strange situation, especially when you look at teams in the Western Conference that are like the Western Conference, half of it is totally mediocre.
I think the biggest example, and just to
but a lot of teams are doing way better than expected.
Minnesota is 5-5-1. That's because they're good, and their forwards and their defense for the moment in this 11-game start to the season have done enough to offset the second worst goaltending in the National Hockey League.
Right.
That's got to change for them if they want to be a playoff team, but they can stay afloat.
Yes.
The Blue Jackets are not good enough to withstand league worst goaltending. And when I say league worst goaltending, the scary thing is it's not even close. This isn't minus 8.9 compared to Minnesota at minus 8.5. You are at minus 13.4 in 12 games. That is more than 1 goal a game you are allowing that you shouldn't.
Right.
It's unheard of.
The breakdowns are awful.
And it's not even just, we knew the defense was going to be good, but it's just pure goaltending. Defense isn't very good, offense isn't very good, but more than anything, forget about, being able to buy a save or get a save that you don't deserve. Not only you're not getting saves that you don't deserve, you're not getting saves that you do.
No.
Point blank. point blank, you were not getting the saves that you do deserve from time to time.
They should have played so much better in front of Jonas.
That was, to me, out of all the games this season, including the New Jersey loss.
Yep.
That one was the most unforgivable.
So that one takes the cake now.
Yes. Simply because you have a guy who has been in this organization for now a decade, drafted in 2012. One of the more respected people in the organization, one of the more respected players, one of the longest tenured players, has been with the Columbus Blue Jackets since 2015.
Your longest tenured goalie.
Yes,
by
far.
A favorite in the locker room.
Favorite in the locker room. Good chunk of the fan base loves the guy. Good personality. Good guy.
Yes, and statistically speaking, we know what your opinion is.
Yes. But all that aside, he was also, not sure if you know this, I know you do, but everybody knows this, from Finland, going home.
Deserved a start.
Deserved a start. Gets a start. Had to battle back from injury.
That's been lingering for 2 years.
Minor league conditioning start in Syracuse, I believe.
Yeah, and go all the way to,
prepare himself. Then has to go to New Jersey. Now they're flying out to Finland. Has to go through all of this to get ready. First start in forever is home. And you give up 45 shots to the Colorado Avalanche, and you get outplayed most of the game. That is beyond unforgivable.
Outplayed 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah. Like the Devils one was just so mind-boggling to me. But when you add in the Devils and their motivations at home, that they're cooking, and you know they're rallying around the fans, and the fans were rallying around the fact that they didn't get Johnny Gaudreau, and they're one of the best. Like currently, they're the best team in hockey right now. I know Colorado just won the cup, but just speaking this season alone, the Devils are the best team in hockey.
I mean, there is Boston and Vegas record-wise, but
in terms of so you're talking about record. I'm just talking about
in terms of watching them play. Yes,
just watching them play, how they play. Like if Boston and Vegas
played the way New Jersey would,
they would both great. Like they play great hockey, but if they played to the level, which is just a little bit more than they're playing right now, they might be undefeated.
Both teams would.
They just have more talent.
Yeah, exactly.
So good God, you lose the game like that. Okay, you got to bounce back, and you lay 2 eggs, but the biggest one with Korpisalo in net is just beyond unforgivable to me. And it's not like I don't know. I didn't think he played bad.
That's such a shot to his confidence to not have that in front of you.
Yeah.
Because you said, he deserves better.
And this is where bad defense affects goaltending outside of just the play. Is not only is if the defense is bad, do you struggle as a goaltender to make certain saves because you're facing more chances and better chances, but it's a total shot in your confidence, because Jake, if there's a lack of trust there,
yeah, exactly,
that is so hard to get back.
Now,
and trust is everything.
Oh, for a goaltender, absolutely.
For a hockey team in general, but yes, especially for a goaltender, it's no wonder.
I'm trying to even just think of a new train of thought. I do want to give props to Colorado because, I mean, they're back on the saddle.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
They're doing exactly what we thought they would be doing. And we'll talk about more Colorado stuff in a minute. But what you said about the Devils.
Mm-hmm.
That what the fan base is doing to rally around the team.
Mm-hmm.
Tied to that, Lindy Ruff and Andrew Brunette.
Yes.
The
And
coaching, the motivation.
The Devils.
What the hell is Brad Larson doing to motivate this team?
No idea. Genuine answer to that question. I can't answer it. And we talked about this in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
What were my 3 words about it? Leave no doubt.
Yes.
Are we there?
I am about there. I have a sliver left.
And it's not so much that
that's just me trying to still be an optimist.
Yeah, and I get that.
Like,
and I don't disagree with it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I mean, if you lose that game to the Flyers and you fall to 3-10, you have to fire him. But at the same time, I was also thinking in my head, well, if you beat the Flyers, no matter how it looks, whether if it's a great game or not, if you beat the Flyers and you move to 4-9, what really does it change? All it does is delay the inevitable by a few days. Like, can you see a scenario where this team gets it back under Brad Larson this year? That, to me, is the question you have to ask yourself if you're the Blue Jackets management. And if the answer is no, then what's the wait?
Now, Yurchek and Tarasov got sent back down where they should be.
Where they should be. They shouldn't be up here. That was, unfortunate circumstances for them that they even had to play.
Exactly.
So they're back where they need to be.
You bring in Bemmer, you bring in Gauntz due to the injuries that we have now.
Yeah.
Jake's out indefinitely. Who knows what this timeline's going to be now? We'll probably find out in a few days. But at this point, does that not, like, if you make the LTIR move, that frees up 8.5.
Which I don't even know what you do with $8.5 million. Like, it's not like that now that you've got $8.5 million or whatever it is to make a move that's going to suddenly put you back in it. I think that, and there's a reason we talked about goaltending was because, for example, you just brought up the name Lindy Ruff.
Yes.
And what we've heard for the last 2 years with Lindy Ruff is just, well, he just needs a goaltender. He just needs a goaltender because the Devils have had shambolic levels of goaltending these last 2 years. Have they
That's
not?
turning into your favorite word now too, isn't it?
It's just such a great word. But, right? Just
because Blackwood hasn't been able to show what he can do, and when he can, it's not great.
Yeah, because he kept getting hurt, and he wasn't great when he was playing.
How many times has the media, like, seriously, it's almost vomit at this point, talking about how they went through 7 guys last year in net.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost every broadcast. And it's like,
and then he gets hurt last year, obviously, so he's one of those guys. And
he's re-aggravated, dude. They can't bring him up now.
Yeah, so they brought up Akira Schmid, who played last year, Nico Dawes, yada, yada, yada.
And Blackwood's hurt again now. It's 3 to 6 weeks. We're trying to cover as much as we can with this.
Now, I know that several things changed this offseason. They got Andre Palat. They got John Marino. Marino's fantastic. They brought in Andrew Brunette. But
that makes me feel bad for Palat now, because what was his timeline too? 8 to 10 now?
10 weeks, I believe. But they also got Vitek Vanacek.
Yes, and Vitek's looked great.
Jake, he has a 908 save percentage. And a 908 save percentage for the Devils, considering what they've been through the last few years, looks like a 930.
Yeah, exactly.
A 908 save percentage, and that team is 9-3.
Yeah.
So when we say, like, just wait until the Devils get goal and I know that's not their only issue, getting Brunette helped, getting Marino helped, Palat, etc.
Well, you also got to remember what was it, 25 years of 20 plus years of Marty Brodeur.
Marty Brodeur.
Like,
and then the few years after of
Corey when he was fine.
Really good, when he was good. And then it's just been off the rails since. But yeah, a 908 save percentage, and that team is just magically 9-3 now.
because and this goes back to Lars, there's buy-in.
Yes.
There's motivation.
And that's, we mentioned this I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before that, assistant coaches are just as important as the head coach sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people questioning whether or not there was going to be a buy-in with Lindy Ruff this year. And 2 games in, they're 0-2. People are yelling, screaming, fire Lindy, even though they're outplaying those 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they start to get goaltending, and it's like, well, wait, they've bought in the entire time because Lindy has been a great motivator over the course of his career and is very well respected in hockey circles because he's been around forever. And he takes what he does and he mixes it with his number 1 assistant, who, by the way, he won the Jack Adams. No, he was a finalist for Jack Adams.
He was a finalist, yeah.
So he was a top 3 candidate for the Jack Adams Award last year, and he's an assistant for some reason.
As an interim coach.
Yeah. He brings in that guy, who is also very well respected.
Oh, absolutely.
And now the team's a wagon. So leaving aside Brad Larson for a second, okay? Because Brad Larson was an assistant under John Tortorella. He's been here for a while.
He's been here forever. He's been here since the Thunderbirds were the Falcons in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yes. Yes. And back when they were our affiliate rather than the Monsters.
Yes.
So outside of Brad for a second, who wasn't a great power play coach, was a skeptical hire when he got the job with Columbus. What can we say about our assistant coaches? Are there glowing reviews? Is the solution, if Brad Larson's not your guy, and I can't see a scenario right now where he is.
Right.
Is the guy in your room? Is he in Cleveland? Is he out on the market? Where is the direction?
I'm trying to remember last year how they did when wasn't Brad sick or something, and Vincent was the main guy behind the bench for a game or 2.
I want to say I can't remember, but
it was Vincent running head, and then Jared ran the majority of defense and penalty killing. And believe me, I don't see Jared Bull doing anything more than that.
Yeah.
Pascal Vincent's at least a name that's
he's had head coaching experience with the Manitoba Moose. He had assistant coaching experience on the Winnipeg Jets staff.
From a moral standpoint, he was a spearhead in the Kyle Beach case.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about, there's a follow-up to Mitchell Miller stuff later.
Yeah.
But at least on a similar note, but I don't know, because we know what's going on with Barry Trotz.
Barry Trotz is not coming to Columbus.
No.
And I don't blame him. It's something against the market or the team or anything like that. It's just
it's not what he wants to do.
You're Barry Trotz. You have 2 options really. One is either retire from coaching and just go into front office business with the team, which I think is interesting to him. And
well, he wants to coach his way up into front office management.
Or the other option is what you just said. Continue coaching for a little bit and then go into upper management with a team that can win the Stanley Cup. There's no sense for him to take over a team that has no playoff aspirations.
Right.
That makes absolutely no sense at this point of his career. None. So he's not your answer,
No,
at least in the market.
no.
Is it Rick
Who?
Tocchet?
Oh, that's right. He is out there still, isn't he?
Is it hiring with? Is there someone within that you like?
I don't even know who the lower level coaching system
And
is right now.
I'm gonna throw out.
Oh no, wait, it's friggin' Vogelhuber. Why did I
Yeah.
forget him?
Is he ready to take? I don't think he is.
I don't think so.
I
No,
think it'd
because
be
this is
unfair
his
to him.
first year as a coach in Cleveland.
I think that would be really unfair to him if you promoted him.
Oh yeah.
Here's my suggestion,
Mhm.
simply as an interim option that you can play it out and see.
And this is push come to shove, right?
If I'm running the team and this season's just a lost cause and I'm
Mhm.
just hiring an interim for the rest of the season,
Yep.
and we'll see after, I take a hard look at the Montreal Canadiens of what they did,
Mm-hmm.
and I might ask Rick Nash how he feels about it.
Oh.
And if it blows up, it blows up. If it fails, it fails. You can just put him back to where he is. I don't know if he's ever thought about coaching, but I'm looking at someone who had a lot of success as a player, and we're looking at a lot of players who were very successful in the National Hockey League who
And
were
he's
successful coaches.
and he's I mean he's doing his thing as a development guy, which is essentially the same thing, just in a front office role.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. and if the season's lost, at least you want a team that's going to go out and fight, and a team that's going to have respect for the man at the top. Not many people in the Columbus Blue Jackets organization currently more respected than Rick Nash.
No, yeah. I mean, the guy just had his number retired.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first star you really ever had.
Mm-hmm. First overall pick. I'm not saying that it's I don't think that's the direction they're going to go.
But it's an idea.
I think it's something they should consider, just
Yeah.
because you look at the success of some of these teams and some of the coaches that are in this league that are having success.
Like I said, I'm not ready to cut the rope yet, but I'm hanging by a thread.
Yeah.
I'm hanging by a thread, and I want to say congrats to the
It's
Avs.
the optimist in you.
Yeah,
I think we're in the same boat. You just have more optimism in your bones than I do.
Yeah. It's a good balance, right?
It is a little bit. Yeah.
There's a reason why
I don't think I'm a negative person. I don't know. I try to analyze things with the eye of, can it be fixed? Can I see a scenario where this gets fixed?
Right. And I do want to give, so before we get out of here, I want to give props to the Avs for the sweep.
Yeah.
Because they're coming back into form.
Yeah, they're outstanding. I had no concerns about them or Tampa for their start to the season. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
That's a model class organization. Yeah, good, I mean, good for them. We'll be talking about them throughout the season, I'm sure, because they're just so unbelievable. But
100%.
Yeah, to me, like, it was nice to see, just as an outside viewer rather than as a fan of the scenario. It's nice to see Colorado bounce back and look like Colorado. But
it was great to see Kale look like Kale.
Yeah, but again, I think it felt to me, both as just a hockey fan and as a Blue Jackets fan, that two games said a lot more about Columbus than it did Colorado.
Yes. And it's a deep hole they're in. And it's going to be really hard if you're even going to try to attempt to claw your way out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're going to try. Damn it, they're going to try.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if the season's just a total mess, there is a very beautiful Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli waiting for you.
Or Braden Yeager.
But like, I feel like for most fans, especially you and I, we'd be pissed if they weren't trying.
That's not what we want to see.
And historically, that's not Blue Jackets hockey. That's not the culture that
exactly
built under JD and Yarmo.
There needs to be effort. There needs to be effort every night,
and it really is kind of a we're gonna see it. Like,
we're in damned if you do, damned if you don't territory right now.
You're about to play a game against the Philadelphia Flyers, who
have your old head coach.
That's a testament to me to see the difference in coaching, because one has more talent than the other. The Flyers are not as good on paper as the Blue Jackets are.
But what do the Flyers have?
Goaltending.
And?
Coaching.
Buy-in.
Yeah. Just to perfectly to summarize it, like, the Flyers are very much around where the Blue Jackets are in terms of let me find this here for you real quick.
Oh, for statistics wise?
Yes, because it's just well,
Carter Hart's being Carter Hart.
Okay,
he's
so
finally allowed to be Carter Hart.
Blue Jackets are 27th in 5-on-5 expected goals against per 60. The Flyers are 31st.
Oh,
expected goals for the Blue Jackets 27th. Hilariously, the Flyers are also 31st. So the Blue Jackets are 27th and 27th. The Flyers are 31st.
31 and 31. Oh boy.
The difference between the two. Blue Jackets 32nd at minus 13.4 goals saved above expected.
Yep.
And the Flyers first at plus 14.3. That is about a 27.7 difference between these two teams.
What did I tell you? Carter's finally able to be Carter Hart.
Yes, because John Tortorella walked in and sprayed his Torts magic over Carter Hart, which he just does with every goalie he's ever had. It's ridiculous.
I mean, who were his goalies? Like, seriously, he's had Roberto Luongo and Corey Schneider and Happy Bullen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Henrik Lundqvist.
Wasn't it Happy Bullen in Tampa?
Yeah, Happy Bullen was in Tampa. So, yeah, he had Happy Bullen and John Graham. He had Henrik Lundqvist.
With the Rangers.
He had, he's mentioning...
He had Bobby Lou and Corey Schneider.
I don't believe he had Corey Schneider. I think he was a Devil at that point. No, because remember, he famously started Eddie Lack over.
Oh, he had Eddie, right? Yes,
but Eddie Lack was good under him.
I mean, yeah.
And then obviously he comes here and gets Bobrovsky, and gets him back to Vezina form, and now he's in Philadelphia, and Carter Hart's playing the best hockey of his career.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's. I'm not there yet. You're basically there.
Yeah, I'm there.
You're basically there.
I gotta admit to you, Jake, I try not to be a very reactionary kind of person. I did not expect to be here this quickly.
No,
here I am.
No. And that's not gonna mean believe us, because like y'all know what our plans are for this show. And we're jacked for these plans.
Yeah.
We're excited to do what we're doing with this show. It's just Mr. Depresso Espresso over here is
Damn. I like coffee too.
Same here. So yeah, congrats Colorado for the Global Series sweep, and salute to you guys. And I want to now express a lot of condolences to the fans, to the organization. Peter McNab passed away this weekend.
Yeah.
He was 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So good long life.
Yeah.
Still fairly youngish. But decent life.
So he was 73 to 87, Sabres, Bruins, Canucks, Devils. And then he was color commentator for the Avs.
A whole half century in the sport.
From 96 until his death.
An entire 50 years in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. It is, because it's 2022. He was drafted in 72.
Yeah.
Oh, a long time, man.
Obviously his playing career was well before our time.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what it was like
to
watch him play. Like what kind of player he was, or
right,
if he won any rings or any championships or anything like that. That kind of thing. We know him as Altitude's color commentator.
He and talk about being ingrained in just Colorado with the Avalanche.
He'd been there since the beginning.
He played 3 years at the University of Denver.
That too? Okay.
So
that's interesting. There you go.
But 954 games, 363 goals, 450 assists, 813 points. Good career. Really good career.
What was his position?
He was I want to say he was okay, so he was a center. I thought he was a winger. He was a center.
Center? Okay. That's not bad for a center.
With good numbers. Great life. Really, really, really great life.
Awesome life. And okay, I feel like my big thing is, one, they already have to find a replacement. Like, that's really tough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they had anybody waiting in the wings for that.
I'd have to imagine, because he
was battling cancer, right? Yeah.
He's been battling cancer for a while, and I want to say around February they said it went back into remission.
Oh,
so they've had a pretty good window of knowing, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with that, but for now it's just,
I mean, they also, the Avalanche have a decent amount of time before their next game, right? Or are they playing like tonight? When's their next game?
They play not tonight, not tomorrow.
They have a few more days.
Okay. Yeah, so they play the same night as us against the Flyers. They play Thursday against the Predators.
Okay.
The Matt Duchene Bowl.
Fun. So they got time, at least. The Sam Girard Bowl.
True.
So yes, they do have time to make sure everybody's like ready on the broadcast end of things. I'm kind of worried about Mosier.
Yeah.
Because Moj was his dude.
Yeah.
Those guys had such a rapport. I loved listening to Altitude highlights with Mosier and McNab.
Yeah, they've had some good broadcasters in Colorado at least my entire lifetime, because you just notice, like, watching games and stuff like that, like what broadcast teams you like, and I always liked listening to Colorado.
Colorado's great. Detroit's another really like classic one.
Detroit's awesome.
Mickey is the best.
Mickey is the man.
Well, the thing about just the oh my god, I love how deadpan he is. But Peter and Moj were always so animated, and I love it.
Yeah.
Right, and they always like you can really tell when a broadcast is genuine. At least with a regional broadcast.
Yes, for sure.
When you have like Mosher's over there, like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Right? When they're like doing a review or something like that. And you can hear Mosher going like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
If a call doesn't go their way.
Right.
And you can get away with that to an extent.
Well,
on regional broadcast, like
it's the debate that people have about Jack Edwards. Oh, he's so biased. Well, I mean, he's not paid to be unbiased or anything like that.
Exactly. He's Bruins. It's a Bruins centric broadcast. It's NASN.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
He can ham it up as much as he wants especially because Andy's there to balance it out.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Peter was always great. I still like one of my favorite memories, at least from like recent seasons with Peter, was something happened to the net. This was back when Grubauer was on the team. And something happened with like the mesh got a hole cut in it somehow. We have no idea how. Like this ended up on Dang It. It was hilarious. And they're just over there like the banter that these two have. Right? And the refs come over with zip ties to fix the net. And Mosher's like, man, I love a good zip tie, Peter, don't you? And he's like, I'm a duct tape guy. And they just had a great laugh about that. I love when guys banter like that. It's so good.
Just show a little bit of personality, you know?
Yeah. Now, sometimes that can go kind of far. Tyson Nash.
That's the name I was thinking of too. Well, because he's the opposite. He doesn't want you to show any personality.
I do love Tyson Nash's voice, though. Like he's got a good voice for broadcasting.
He does have a good voice. He just has some shitty opinions.
Yeah, but like Peter was always very level-headed with stuff. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and, you know, like on top of knowing like who the good play-by-play guys for other broadcasts are, you also very quickly notice like who
the good color guys.
Color guys are, and we mentioned Mickey being one of them. Like. I think we talked about Dano in New Jersey too, and how monotone his voice is. But he's
Danico, yeah,
because
Ken's great.
Yeah, he's
outstanding. Ken's great. Brickley's fun in Boston.
Obviously Eddie O's been fantastic at it for such a long time, both in regional broadcasts as well as national.
Jody's coming into his own.
Yeah, I think Jody's pretty good at it too. You know,
Jody's doing great.
Yeah,
and I love that Jody can do it like both from the booth and at the glass.
Yeah,
which is fun.
Right.
But and like,
also, God, what's the the one dude in Dallas?
I don't know their names.
I don't know the guy's name, but he has some like the funniest descriptions of goals sometimes.
And Washington's too. Beninati and McLaughlin are amazing. They're A+.
It's like a national broadcast for a regional broadcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So damn good at it.
But yeah, so like just Peter's gonna be missed, man.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. For his personality as a player, as a broadcaster.
As a person.
Yeah. As a person.
All of that. So I hope a good one.
Yeah, I hope Mosher's able to take his time with this.
Yeah.
Because like even, you know,
I'm sure they're gonna and the good thing is the next game's a home game, so they'll have the opportunity to do something really nice for him.
Oh, they're gonna do plenty, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what their plans are gonna be.
Yeah.
If they do something like what the Mariners did for their longtime guy,
I don't know what they did.
they've got the whole setup in the booth that has like his statue and things and like phrases that he used to say.
Pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll at least
Could
do like a
bobblehead night, something like that too.
I'm sure they'll
Or
do at
promotion
least like a
there.
banner or like
Yeah.
rename some part of the arena. That'd be nice.
Banners for announcers are always like really cool too. I remember the first basketball game I ever went to for the Cavs. They did one for Joe Tate, the game that I went to when they played the Bulls. Hopefully they do something for Carr too. But
Well, did the Dodgers do anything for Vin? I'm sure they did plenty for Vin,
for
right?
Vin Scully. I'm sure they did something.
They had to have done something crazy for Vin.
Yeah.
This is a tough one because he's ingrained, right? He's
One of
another one,
the-
and RJ.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah, RJ, big one.
It's like, how did I not default to RJ with that? I know RJ's only
They did-
retired,
they
but
did
like, come
so
on.
much for him. But what was the Yankees will also do something like crazy for Sterling too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Reds did plenty for Marty.
Yeah.
You know,
His son did plenty for his career.
God damn it! As there's a deep drive in deep left field. Yeah. Rest in peace, Peter. Abs fans were with you.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely. Good. Glad though, like that his last full season they won the cup.
Was the cup win? Yeah.
Yeah. So another way to look at it, right?
Good little send off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I don't know if I want to say send off, but like yeah. Anyway, we got to take a hard turn into more depressing territory. Because this Miller saga is firing on all cylinders, and well, that was fast.
Yeah.
So basically, we went from talking about it Saturday in regards to just blowing up, right?
Well, and this is the sense that I got though, that this was a conversation that we were going to be having the next time that we came on, right?
Well, because fans, we talk about Kyle Beach, we talk about Logan Mailloux, right? Talking about this is the quickest turnaround that we've seen in any of these recently.
Yeah. I think mainly for this one, like when we talk about the turnaround, is because I'm trying to think of the best way I want to say this. Like when the Montreal Canadiens picked Logan Mailloux, it was very apparent that was not going to be a pick that they rescinded the way that the Coyotes did, because the Coyotes picked Mitchell Miller with, I want to say, the 111th pick. It was some point in the fourth round.
It was a fourth round pick, yes.
And the Montreal Canadiens picked Logan Mailloux with the 32nd pick, I believe.
Essentially.
31st or 32nd.
31.
Okay.
31. Because the Blackhawks had 32. And
that
was
right.
Remember that?
It was back to back. Yeah.
Freaking Bowman.
Yeah.
And that whole mess.
Yes. I couldn't remember which one came first, but now that you said, yeah, so it was pick number 31. So we knew when that pick was made that this was not going to be a pick that was rescinded like Mitchell Miller. And what I will say about the two, like I'm not here to compare the badness of two bad things. They're both bad things. And I don't think it's fair to compare the badness of two bad things because you don't want to diminish the severity of the other one. But the difference between Mitchell Miller and Logan Mailloux and why one has a contract and that contract remains intact and the other doesn't is because one has at least taken steps,
committed to working on himself,
showing remorse, showing a little bit of awareness. Whether you believe it's genuine or not doesn't matter to me.
There's receipts to it.
There's he told teams not to draft him. He didn't ask to be selected 31st overall.
Right.
But he put out a letter saying, I don't deserve to be drafted. Now, whether you think that's PR or whatever, doesn't matter. He did it. He's gone through programs. You know, that I'm sure the Montreal Canadiens.
He went through suspension in juniors. There has been work put in. The work is far from over. There's still a lot of work to be done. Yes.
But there has been work shown.
Now, and I hate cutting you off because I just want to get through stuff to read.
Yeah.
But before we get to the stuff to read, I've seen a few opinions that are just wrong.
Yeah.
They're just absolutely wrong. There was one thing that I was reading today that said something like, why hasn't Isaiah spoken? And let me say this. And I don't want to compare the two, but let me say trauma is trauma.
Yeah.
Traumatic experiences are traumatic experiences. It doesn't matter
what the experience is.
Yes, and that's how I'm going to compare this, right?
Yes. Yes.
It took Kyle Beach, in terms of the investigation that was held, 5 to 6 months before he even came out, and he didn't have to.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention, remember, this investigation happened 10, 11 years
after the event happened.
Yes. So time, like, it's crazy how it happens, because when you go through a traumatic experience, people deal with that in different ways.
Yes. Isaiah went through this 7 years ago. He still does not have to speak.
Yeah.
If he can't, if he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
If he's going to get, re-traumatized. Because that happens.
Yeah.
Flashbacks happen.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to talk about what happened. Sometimes victims don't want to talk about that stuff because they just don't want to be forced into reliving it.
Yes. So Isaiah does not have to talk.
No, he doesn't. He's not required.
And that's why his mom is doing most of this.
Yeah.
Which is good on her. She's able to.
Yeah, she has every right to. I think here's the big thing for me, okay? And you said you've seen some bad takes. Well, one of the bad takes that you'll see are from the people online who will say something amongst the lines of, we're just not, this happened when he was 14, we're just not going to forgive him. And I think we kind of addressed this last time, as I mentioned with the Logan Mailloux things, you have to show improvement, commitment. Lots of steps have to be taken. Logan Mailloux has at least taken steps.
Yes.
Mitchell Miller never has. But what I didn't know until today, the thing that's not being talked about enough, in my opinion, is that this wasn't just Mitchell Miller who did this. It was
more kids, right?
It was Mitchell Miller and one other kid who was his friend. And that person has been forgiven and is on good terms with that family.
Oh.
That person apologized to the family and to Isaiah in person.
Yeah.
Went through the whole court order thing that Mitchell also went through. Joni has said that that person has taken steps and has grown.
And is working on getting forgiveness, right? Like, yeah.
That is the difference between Mitchell Miller and this other kid. So when people ask the question, well, we're just not going to... No. And the reason we say that, other people ask the question, well, why won't this family just let this go? They're not going to let it go because two people were involved with this. Two kids were involved with this.
Yep, and
there's
has
a stark difference between the two of them.
Yeah, one's basically been forgiven for the most part.
So
and is still working, and the other one hasn't even started to work.
So when people ask the question of like, well, what, is anything ever going to be good enough? Yes. That one person's been forgiven entirely. Everything's fine. Apology, everything's fine. Moved on.
Mm-hmm. Mitchell hasn't done that.
That person's in the process of being forgiven by the family. They're forgiven entirely. All behind him. The reason it's not behind for Mitchell Miller is because Mitchell Miller has made this whole entire thing seem, not only has he made it seem insignificant and tried to downplay it, it's like him and his family have shown the entire world that the only thing they think of this incident is just an obstacle for him to play professional hockey.
I was going to say, yeah, the only thing that they're thinking about is how this affects his hockey career and not just his personal life.
Yeah. And I read something from Jay Fresh that I thought was probably the best take on it in terms of just how Miller and the family have approached this.
Can you make it quick? Because I have a Wyshynski thread and I have praise for Isaiah.
Yeah.
For once, because there's a Hockey Diversity Alliance statement I want to read too.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a great statement, but just like the gist of it is like, and this is something that I've thought, like, obviously you want people to show genuine contrition and apologize authentically and grow on their own, right?
Yes.
You want to see that growth from people, but let's be real here. You can fake things in life, right?
His agent.
So
let me mention that.
Yeah.
Eustace King.
Yeah.
Who is Mitchell's agent.
Yeah.
Also, and this is a crazy tidbit.
Yeah.
Crazy layer to this. He is also the agent of Wayne Simmons.
Yeah.
Who is a member of the Hockey Diversity Alliance. And
Eustace King is also black.
Yes. Is this not the craziest conflict of interest?
It absolutely wild to me. I don't know if you saw the CJ show. Julian McKenzie went.
I didn't watch it. I'm sure Julian got livid.
He was
yeah.
Very, very upset about it. And I think he has
livid for what Julian could be. Yeah.
Have every right to be upset about it. But the general gist of this that I'm trying to say here is what's crazy to me in the case of Mitchell Miller.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to read Jay Fresh's thing? Go ahead.
It'd be taking too long to scroll. Like,
fair.
They could have just completely gone through the motion. He could have, after his pick got rescinded by Arizona, he could have gone to the family, apologized in person, put on his best acting, and maybe just made an apology he didn't believe in, but just make it seem as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
To go through the motions of these different programs and stuff. Oh my God, I've improved. He could have done that for the last 2 years. Even if he thought it was all bullshit, even if it wasn't authentic at all, he could have just done it for the sake of doing it so he can get back into hockey. He is such a shitty person, and this has been such... It's layered within the family. It comes from the parents.
What did we say last show? His mom saying boys will be boys? That's not what boys will be boys.
His dad liking tweets about like, oh, why will people let this go? Also, we know where this is coming from, okay? But it's crazy to me that this kid, what he has learned from his parents, his parents won't let him, they won't give him the advice. He could have just faked it the last 2 years just so he can get back into hockey. These people don't even have it in themselves to do things that they don't believe in to get him into the sport. It tells you everything you need to know about Mitchell Miller and the family. Now, granted, I'm thankful that he didn't fake it and, continue to be a piece of shit.
I mean, at least he's staying
showing
true
his
to
true
his
color.
Yeah, he's staying true to his character, which is a shitty character.
A shitty character, and it's a good thing that this shitty character is not going to be in this league and not really going to be in the sport in North
I was going to say,
America.
yeah, because he's ineligible both to the NHL and the AHL. So the Bruins released him, and let's be frank, this is the craziest because the fan vitriol, and then apparently the Bruins didn't even talk to league execs about this.
Yes. So Gary Bettman was like, they didn't talk to me about it. He's not NHL eligible. Don't know if he's ever gonna be. And then former Blue Jackets GM Scott Howson, he's the commissioner of the American Hockey League, shortly after followed suit and was like, yeah, he's not eligible to play here either.
Woo.
So let's recap for a second here, okay?
Before I get into these
Bruins
threads, yeah.
Talk to some of their top players. Their top
leaders
all said why.
Because they talked to Bergeron, they talked to Krejci, they talked to Pasternak, Marchand, and Foligno. And Foligno is a big voice.
Just in the league in general. Like, he's one of the more respected players in the league in terms of leadership.
That's not just us as fans of Fliggy.
This is like you see this all over the media and stuff like that. Like, it's great. Like, he's only been in Boston now. This is his second year there. And he's not really ever been an elite player in his career, but you can tell the respect because the three quotes you get were Bergeron, Marchand, and Nick Foligno. Those are the three that you get.
I have friends that are fans that said Foligno's their leader without a letter.
Yes, like
he's their captain without a letter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
You bring a guy in like that for leadership, and he fits so perfectly in Boston because he embodies everything that locker room stands for.
Yes.
So you go through those players, they all don't really give you their approval. They're like, I don't get this at all. You don't go to the league. You know that people are not going to like it. You don't check all the facts in terms of what he has done.
Your GM says, I might have made a mistake with this in his presser.
And this is just my opinion. I said this, I think, last year before the Canucks fired Benning to bring in Alvin. Mm-hmm. It felt to me for a while that Benning was kind of a puppet to the Aquilinis.
Yep.
It very much feels to me like Sweeney after this extension, after firing Cassidy, and with this move and the things he said, it feels to me like he's kind of the puppet to Neely and Jacobs.
Yes. That just solidifies that boys club puppetry feeling.
Absolutely. So they signed the player, they released him after all this shit.
After all the vitriol, after everything.
Or
there were emails that were going out from fans and all this crap. This all happened over the course of this weekend. Yeah.
It all happened in the span of
2-3 days.
Less than 72 hours.
Yeah. So let's get to Wish.
Yes.
This thread from Greg Wyshynski. Now, they said they released him, right?
Yeah.
The team said they released him. The Athletic said they released him. This is Wyshynski.
My understanding is, I don't know if it's an outright release. I don't know how that necessarily works.
I don't know either.
Players Association is going to have to figure that out if it's a buyout or whatnot. I'm sure we'll
how that works, how the termination is going to work.
Yeah.
So Wyshynski's thread. As of Tuesday, which is today, recording this tonight, Miller remains under contract with the Bruins and is assigned to Providence.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of scenarios regarding what happens next now that the NHL team has walked away. The Bruins could simply decide to pay Miller to stay home for this season and then buy him out at the end of the year for a third of his salary.
So similar to what the Rangers did with Tony DeAngelo after the fight with Alexander Georgiev.
Okay. The Bruins could work with Miller, Eustace King, and the PA on a settlement that would allow him to become a free agent. While Miller is in the A, this would fall under NHL PA jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Bruins or the NHL sought to terminate the contract because of Miller's history, a source tells ESPN that the PA would be expected to file a grievance. Same goes for any kind of multi-year suspension to essentially nullify the contract.
Yes, and it should be said real quick here about the Players Association. They will file a grievance in that case.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, just for the fans, because people will be upset about that.
Yeah.
That's their job. They
Yes.
have to do that. And I can tell you right now, there isn't a player in the Players Association who wants to do that.
No, nobody
But-
wants to do this, but they have to.
but they
like
have to for the precedent of it.
Yes, it's an obligation
Because
thing.
you can't have a scenario where a player signs a contract and after they sign the contract, the National Hockey League and American Hockey League are like, oh, well, actually, you're banned. A ban had to have been in place. And to our knowledge, there was not a ban in place for Mitchell Miller prior to the contract
Mm-hmm.
for the NHL or the American Hockey League.
Right.
So that's essentially what the battle here is. And there needs to be precedent with this. And that's why that grievance would be filed. Best case scenario is that some sort of settlement happens, to be honest with you.
Right. Last tweet from Greg, and I'm sorry, I'm cringing at the first reply to this.
Yeah.
You want me to read this reply first? Because, oh my God.
Sure.
Yeah, all it says is, good for him, he should be playing. No.
Check how many followers that person has.
Yeah, yeah. 147.
It's about 147 too many.
Okay, last tweet from Greg. Things are still settling after a tense weekend. There's been little discussion between the Bruins, NHL, and PA in the aftermath, but expect the action to potentially pick up by later in the week. So we should have probably another Miller update on Saturday.
Okay.
Which, Saturday, I'm just going to put a positive spin on this. You guys know we're working hard on this.
Mm-hmm.
We could have our first network broadcast Saturday.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's Greg's thread. So basically he's just laying out, the proceedings, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah, I checked out the Wyshynski thread that you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
The responses, and the first one I saw is, could he get traded?
No, I don't.
I guess he could, but
But I don't know. I mean, they said there were teams that were interested, but I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, I tell you, that's so freaking funny, man. So interesting enough, we talked about this, and one thing that I said was the Bruins don't sign this guy when they sign him unless other teams are interested, right?
And we said this, yes.
Chris Johnson said today that other teams kicked the tires on him, but there was nobody else interested in signing a contract with him, and that most conversations were just very short, brief, and had most teams walking away
Yeah, but we know your history and we know you're a shitty person, kind of
so
thing.
I thought oh, there's probably other teams involved that were maybe going to sign him, so Boston just jumped on the opportunity. If Chris Johnson's correct, and
Usually CJ is.
very often is, there really weren't any other teams that were actually interested in giving him a contract.
They just wanted to gauge interest.
Yes. And to basically kind of see where he was at and to see if there was any legitimate improvement there.
Right. Well, that makes me feel better, I guess, for the other teams
Yeah.
that were.
So, and Joe Haggerty, who I don't read any of his stuff, but I've seen him be kind of a jackass on Twitter sometimes. But what he said that I agree with
Uh-huh.
is that it's a move made by a GM who doesn't draft well with the worst prospect pipeline in the National Hockey League. The Bruins have no prospects, and
Right.
especially on defense. And that's one of the major reasons why they wanted to sign. It's one of the reasons that the Coyotes drafted him in the first place, because if you remember back in 2020,
Uh-huh.
after the whole Chaika thing,
They lost a lot of defensive prospects, right?
well, they lost their first round pick, and they had traded their other, I think, their second and third round pick. So
Yep.
they had lost some draft picks. Mitchell Miller was their first pick in that draft.
Yes.
So, their thought process at that time would have been like, well, who is just the best player available?
Yep.
We didn't have a pick in the first 3 rounds. Who is the best player available? So they just picked Mitchell Miller, even knowing that there was character concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And then once everything really came to the surface, that's when they rescinded the pick.
So I guess that's forgivable to a degree.
I'm not.
Maybe I shouldn't say that.
I'm not going to kill them about it, because they did rescind the pick.
Yes, and I mean,
it's old regime too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do your fucking homework.
Exactly. Yeah.
There were a lot of teams. He fell to the 4th round for a reason, because there was a lot of teams that had him on their do not draft list.
Yes, plenty of teams were
not draft in the first 3 rounds, first 4 rounds. No, just do not draft.
Right.
So
simple enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, let's get to this HDA statement, because this thing is long-winded.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to breeze through this as best as we can. First and foremost, we want to express how deeply sorry we are for Isaiah Meyer-Crothers and his family. We will never truly be able to comprehend their pain when Mitchell Miller coldly and systematically harassed and abused Isaiah, a young black man with a disability.
Yes. And I like that sentence, because it's the first time we've seen any statement about the incident. Describe what happened.
Describe what happened, and this is actually talking about Isaiah, not Mitch.
Yes, it's talking about Isaiah, and it's not talking about an instance. It's talking about systematic, planned
patterns of behavior.
Exactly.
In 2020, when reports of this harassment and abuse first surfaced, the HDA reached out to the Meyer-Crothers family. So they reached out immediately.
Yeah, no surprise there. They do incredible work.
Offered our support. Members of our organization have stayed in touch with them since then, and again over past week. In fact, Isaiah contacted us this morning. Listen to this. And expressed his distress to us. For Isaiah and his family, the healing process has been and will be a matter that will play out over years. So this is still going to go on.
Yeah, this doesn't just end today with this releasing of Mitchell Miller.
Mitchell Miller's signing with the Boston Bruins had to feel like a bandage being torn off a fresh wound.
Mm-hmm.
When Isaiah and his family needed privacy, support, and time, Miller's signing with the Bruins gave them only unwanted attention. Our thoughts are always with them, and our door will always be open. So that first paragraph says to me what everybody should be saying. We are with Isaiah.
Yes, absolutely. And I know we're only one paragraph in. The statement's fucking phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
Second paragraph. Sadly, Isaiah and his family were not in the thoughts of the Boston Bruins. If they had been, then the team's management would have at the very least reached out to them before signing Miller.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been a matter of not just due diligence, but also, and more importantly, human decency.
Yep.
If the Bruins had talked to the Meyer-Crothers family, their executives would have quickly recognized the contradictions and lies. Lies is a good word.
Yes.
In the accounts from Miller and his representatives.
Yeah.
They did nothing. They didn't consult the league. They didn't consult the family. We've rehashing old points.
Yeah.
They didn't do a damn thing. They were just like, here, you want a contract? Take it. Well, I'm sure they knew about it.
Yeah.
Because this thing's been lingering for years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Miller's agent, Eustace King, had contacted members of the HDA. I didn't know this much, even though I was reading tweets about this all day today, and solicited our approval, which we quickly and emphatically declined. Further, if we had been consulted, we would have told the Bruins that we asked King to drop the matter at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say to you?
I mean, forget about what does it say to me. Does it say anything that we haven't already said?
I don't think so. Other than just Eustace trying to...
Here...
Is he trying to just do his job and do right by his player? Like, as a player?
Well, here's my question, and this is just, expanding beyond this for a second here. What does this do long term for him?
For Eustace?
Yeah. Because if I'm Wayne Simmons...
Yeah, if I'm Wayne... I'd
drop him.
Oh, yeah.
I'd drop him like that. I'd drop him yesterday.
Because when did the statement actually come out?
A
couple days ago? No, from the HDA.
Oh, I don't know. I read it today. I don't know if it came out today, but maybe
if it came today, I wouldn't be surprised if Wayne drops him like by the end of the night or like tomorrow or something.
I feel like it came out today, but I might be wrong.
Right. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
After they did the wrong thing in signing Miller, the Bruins did the right thing in voiding his contract, but only after crushing pressure from the public and even disapproval from players in the Boston organization. NHL leadership also deemed Miller unwelcome, but only after its contract office had approved his contract. A finger in the wind sequence, a late case of conscience. So basically, like, again, rehashing old points, the thing happens, the backlash is so severe and so vitriolic, as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And even like Sweeney, God, just laughing at Sweeney again for being like, I think I fucked up here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it...
So I'm just going to read a tweet that I said. So Ian McLaren tweeted, Neely says this is by far his biggest regret as team president. And my opinion is we need to be very clear here. He doesn't regret the move. He regrets the fact that they couldn't get away with it.
He regrets getting caught.
Yeah. He regrets the backlash.
Yes. Some have talked about the concepts of counsel, not cancel, and restorative justice, concepts which, if followed authentically and sincerely, we at the HDA agree with. In this case, however, oh my gosh, trying to read this thing while zooming in.
Yeah, that's the only
yeah,
thing.
because it's like really, yeah. In this case, however, Miller and the team invoked these concepts out of convenience, a cynical means to an end. We must not allow such stage-managed reformation and apologies to suffice. Miller's signing provides an instructive example of these terms being weaponized to give cover to a bad actor. God, I love the phrasing in this thing. So can I just say that? I love the way they word this. If he had been successful, others down the line would work from the same playbook and perpetuate systemic racism we are trying to eradicate at the HDA. And that goes back to a point you said earlier. If Miller would have just gone through the motions and like done his best acting.
It's crazy to me that he couldn't do it. Like, and this is going to be like a really, really weird comparison, but I want you to hear me out for a second. Okay.
Yeah. And then we got 2 more paragraphs.
I'm going to compare this for a second to Survivor. Okay. And the way I'm going to compare it.
Okay.
And the way I'm going to compare it is season 9, this woman Twyla is at the end.
Okay.
Twyla has backstabbed people, voted people out, was a part of an all-girl alliance and then turned her back on it. And went in a whole different direction. She swore on her son's name that she wouldn't vote out this one person and then did. People are calling her out at Final Tribal Council and stuff like that. And the first juror simply asks her for an apology.
Yep.
And she didn't give her one.
Oh.
And then the next juror, Amy, comes up and she's like, I just see some serious irony that like you won't give an apology that you might not believe in for $1 million, but you'll lie to people for $1 million. You'll break friendships for $1 million. And it sticks with me that like you can do all of these, obviously Survivor's different from what this kid did, but like you can do all these shitty things and you can't muster up the energy to fake an apology.
You can't even fake it. That's the big
what we're asking for is legitimate growth here. And Joni Meyer-Crothers has said what she wants is she wants rehabilitation for Mitchell because she believes that there's an illness there, that the illness of racism.
Yes.
It has been something that he is dealing with. Gets it from his family. There needs to be some serious reevaluations there with that family and with this person, a rehabilitation with that. And that's what we want to see, but it's crazy to me that he can't even fake it.
Can't even fake it for even just a minute.
Yeah. That is not once.
I know this is the tiniest thing too, but like this coming from our state, this coming from fucking Sylvania.
Yeah.
Like, why is it always Ohio that has to look bad in these kinds of weird cases?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, not even after the Coyotes. Steve Dangle brought up a great point on his podcast. I don't know if you listened to it.
I haven't watched it any recently. No.
But,
well, I watched the one when this first broke, but I didn't watch anything since then.
He made a great point that like if he just had it in him to just do the things professionally that he had to do, go to this kid in person and just apologize and face the family and take extra steps, he would probably be in the lineup tonight for the Coyotes.
Right.
Forget about the Bruins for a second here. If he had just done this from the get-go,
he could have been a
the
Coyote.
Coyotes would have gotten some backlash for what they did, but he would have come out publicly and been like, "I did this." It
would have been more like Logan Mailloux.
Absolutely. And
he could still kind of actually have a hockey career.
And let's be clear here, that's the difference here. Logan Mailloux will have a hockey career. He will play in the National Hockey League. And the reason he will play in the National Hockey League is because he has at least taken these steps.
He's working on changing.
Which is significant. And what he did was terrible. But, if there could be some growth there, wouldn't that be a great thing?
And he's working on it. He's committed to working on it.
Yes.
Now let's get through the HDA statement and move on to the next thing. Second to last paragraph. Since we at the HDA took a lead to these conversations, we've seen the first Black GM and assistant GM hired in the NHL. Mike Greer. Shout out Mike Greer.
Who's the assistant GM? Did we miss that one?
I think we might have. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Let me look it up real quick. Keep reading.
Okay. We've seen increased representation of BIPOC and women in the media and hockey operations. We talk about that plenty across the NHL and at all levels of the game. Again, there's more women. There's more people of color everywhere. This is great. We've seen the launching of other nonprofit organizations that are fighting the same good cause. We're seeing progress, and we will continue to fill the silence and have these conversations that make us all feel uncomfortable. Please This is what's Black Girl Hockey Club.
Yes.
What's their campaign? Get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Take that to heart, everybody. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, just take the phrase and work with it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last paragraph. Our goal is and always will be to eradicate systemic racism and intolerance from hockey. For us, this means taking a stand and calling out racist or performative behaviors, even when it is uncomfortable to do so.
Mm-hmm.
We urge that other individuals and organizations to likewise stand up for what is right rather than offering an easy out to opportunists acting in bad faith, such as the case here.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we at the HDA will face criticism of being too forthright and forceful in calling out Miller and the Bruins. We've been accused of that before, and will be again when we speak out again when we encounter racism, ableism, sexism, anti-LGBTQ conduct, or any category of hate and discrimination. Our aim is to be a catalyst for positive and progressive change, and we regard truth and accountability as our mission and a point of pride.
Such a great statement.
It's amazing.
Real quick, the assistant GM is Brett Peterson. He worked for Wasserman Media Group. He was a player agent. He's 39 years old. He is the assistant general manager of the Florida Panthers.
Good for him.
So hired by Bill Zito.
Hey, there you go, Billy. Wasn't there another? What was the coach when Gulletson was behind the bench in Calgary? What was his name? Can't remember off the top of my head, but that all broke when like the Peters and Babcock stuff was going on. He was the only black coach behind the bench.
Wow, yeah.
I think it's Paul Gerard or something. Paul Gerard sounds right.
Yes, Paul Gerard. Yeah.
Okay, where is he at now? Do you know?
Let me see, Paul Gerard.
But the biggest takeaway from this is there's going to be more coming out. We'll have more when the league says more, when the PA says more, right? But as of now, technically, Miller's in the process of getting his contract terminated.
He is an assistant coach at the University of Nebraska, Omaha.
Okay, so he's still working. Good for him.
Yeah.
I hope he gets an NHL job again. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, it would be.
But yeah, so the biggest takeaway from this is we've got progress. The Bruins, I hope the organization is actually saying, okay, yes, we fucked up and are going to take this as sincerely as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we said, the Bruins and all Boston, New England, like sports areas, they have such a rich history. Even with the scandals that they've gone through, they have such a rich history of being model organizations.
Yeah, and I think I was telling like my buddy Bryant, who's a big Bruins fan, was his big thing like after they signed him was like, for the love of God, we better not be, trotting out Willie O'Ree and talking about how against racism we are and how progressive thinking we are after this decision. And
right.
I know that the wrong was eventually righted. Mitchell Miller will not be in the National Hockey League. He will not be in the American Hockey League. But I know it only lasted 2-3 days.
Yep.
Can't forget these 2 to 3 days.
No, and we're going to talk about more when more comes out.
We can't let it go. We can't forget about this in 6 months. This has to be a stain on the Boston Bruins for a significant amount of time because we need change desperately in the sport, and this is the change that we're looking for.
Yes. So we'll have more when more comes out from at least the league and the PA. But for now,
I'm sure, I think we've talked about it enough. It kind of is what it is. Unless new information comes out, really the only time we're going to talk about this again is when we talk about the legal situation now with what happens with the contract.
The contract and how that resolves itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple suspensions.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 words or 3, I guess, for you. High sticking history.
Yeah. Well, so which one are we going to?
Let's go to Andy's first, I guess.
Oh my
Because
god.
that's the lesser of 2 evils, right?
Right. So his was
Josh Anderson suspended, and both of these are 2-game suspensions, by the way.
Anderson's hit was a brutal hit on a vulnerable player in a rough spot, but his was very much a bang bang play.
Mm-hmm.
He was committed to hitting Alex Pietrangelo. And then when he hit him, it was bad, but it didn't seem dirty to me as much as it just seemed like wrong place, wrong time, wrong.
Right, and it was a high stick incident, right? Because they're both.
It was a check from behind.
Check from okay, so his is a check from behind.
Yeah.
Tkachuk's is the high stick. Okay.
Because his was around like the bench area.
Okay.
And kind of like caught him like on the numbers.
Ooh, that's
tough. See if I can find the clip for you, but I know you're talking. Let's go to Matthew Tkachuk's because Matthew Tkachuk's I think is more interesting.
Yes. So you can send me the Andy one. I can watch it later. But Tkachuk's, I'd have to go back and rewatch that one too. But it's just like there's so much that people are talking about with this one.
Mm-hmm. So I just sent you the Josh Anderson one real quick if you just want to check it out. It's like 17 seconds.
Okay. Okay, so he's coming in. Oh yeah. Oh, and he dove in there.
Yeah.
Well, like it's like not a dive, not an embellishment dive, but like the way he falls down.
Yeah, it's like it's just a very rough area.
Yeah.
To hit him. So I think 2 games is fair there.
Can you send me the Tkachuk one too, so I can actually watch that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, Andy's, I can see 2 games for that, maybe even 1.
Mm-hmm.
Even just 1. 2's fine. 2's probably the max you want out of something like that.
Yeah, I'm fine with 2. I have no issues with it.
Okay, so this one is different because it's Tkachuk on a goalie. And we know goalies get way... We'll be frank. Goalies get way more protection than skaters.
Mm-hmm.
By players' safety. And for good reason. I mean, come on. So stick inside Quick's mask. Oh. And it's
the issue I have with this one is it's
a slow-mo. I
can
barely see it though because of the screen here by Arvidsson.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a great replay.
He gets his stick in there and just jams it on him.
Ew.
And you can see Quick react like he was in pain there. And it's just
right.
It's an unnecessary act. It was unprovoked. It's a dangerous thing to do.
Well, especially if you're going to poke a goalie in the eye, like what happened to Darcy over last playoff, right?
So the precedent for it is what makes it interesting. Is there's really no precedent for it.
But there is high sticking in history.
Yeah.
What was that suspension? Who was that? It was earlier this year, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Gosh, I wish I could remember who it was. It was Kuzi, yes, because he only got 1 game for it, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I struggle with this because without the precedent, it makes it hard to make this a longer suspension. But I don't know. 2 games feels like a little too short for a deliberate act against a goalie who's defenseless in that situation.
Yeah.
Jamming a stick, like it's high sticking. It's very dangerous. You're doing it around like the face intentionally, the eyes. I don't know, man. Like I know Matthew Tkachuk was brought in there to be a pain in the ass, and he's a hell of a hockey player. But that's the things you gotta avoid that. You can't be doing that.
looking at it from a DOPS and like a Gary Bettman perspective, 5+ is like too much. Because I mean, let's say, that comparing to a more hilarious suspension, the 5 for biting,
right,
from Brendan Lemieux, right?
Yeah.
The reason why it wasn't more than 5 is the direct appeal has to go to Gary, and Gary was absolutely out of his mind busy with stuff. Right? He had his hands completely tied.
What the fuck was he doing?
Gary Bettman things. I don't know.
I don't want to know what Gary Bettman thinks.
But that's why it wasn't more than 5, because that's direct appeal.
Yeah.
Right? And for something like this, I can't see direct appeal being really necessary.
Right.
So, but I feel like it needed to be more than 2. So like 4 would have been fine.
Yeah. 3 or 4. I guess it's a scenario where you give him 2 games and the threat is if you do it again, it gets more.
Well, yeah, if you do it again, we'll go to 4 and then go from there. Right?
Okay.
4 or 5 and go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm satisfied. If that's the case.
I guess.
If that's the case.
If that's the case, and we don't know, because again, we're just 2 schmucks with a podcast.
We're just 2 schmucks spitballing.
Spitballing.
when you do schmucks and spitballing back to back, it's 2 schmucks schmitballing.
Schmitballing. Is that the name of this episode?
I think that's the name of the episode. It's Schmitballing.
Schmitballing.
Yeah.
SCH. How am I gonna spell that? Cool.
It's almost 9. This episode was so much longer than it was supposed to be. Like every
I know. I know. And then we're gonna end on something at least fun. The Atlanta Gladiators.
Yes, this is the way to end the podcast, right? The Thrash is back. Let's go.
This is fucking great. So the Gladiators, who are the Coyotes affiliate in the E, right?
Yes. I don't know if they're the Coyotes. They might be. I don't.
I think that's what I heard from Shannon's video earlier today.
Yeah, I never know affiliates in the E, but still, Atlanta Gladiators in Atlanta. Atlanta Thrashers throwback night.
They're gonna wear the blue jerseys. They're gonna do the blue lighting.
Yeah.
Thrash, the mascot, is gonna actually come out of retirement and be there,
which is so dope.
How great is that?
Remember, like, I hope that they do those promotions, because remember, like, that video where like the Thrasher mascot was like it was something like a Zamboni chase where he got arrested.
That was a thing that they were trying to do to sell tickets, dude, before they moved.
Like back, I want to see like 08 or 09, they did that. Like, do something like that. Like, do some wacky shit. Like, make the most of this Atlanta Thrashers night. I wish I lived anywhere close to Atlanta so I could go to a game.
Just to go there. Oh man, I want
bring back the goal horn, everything.
I want to know, because I know there's our friend Kenzie in the Discord. I know you don't go there very often, but like you need to go and like just look at our Gerald channel just to see pictures of her cat. Because Jer is like the unofficial SDPN mascot in the Discord.
I think we need a channel in the Discord for Atlanta Thrashers talk.
For just Thrashers, I mean the hockey lobby's there, but yeah, we do need like a Thrashers.
This Zach Bogosian guy's good.
It's just like this Marinos guy looks okay.
Surely trading away Pascal Dupuis won't be a mistake.
I hope we can keep Danny Heatley. Oh man. But yeah, this Gladiators night is like, is that not the coolest thing?
It is. It's really cool.
I am
very excited. I hope there's some way that we can watch it. Like to do some kind of broadcast.
Yeah. You know what that makes me think though too? Like what I want to see now after this?
The Coyotes relocate to Atlanta.
I want to see him get in touch with AJ, and I want to see the trash being brought back too.
That would be cool too.
To get the Thrashers throwback too.
The Thrash
Oh,
was in the Thrash and the Trash, baby. Bring them back.
Well,
That'd be awesome.
okay. I know that. Okay, so that would more probably because it's Danbury, so that the Connecticut Whale could do that.
Good, yeah. That'd be really cool.
That would be really fun. All right, we'll see you guys Saturday, and you know what? By Saturday, we could have a little bit new branding.
Little bit new branding, potentially a new coach. You never know what might change by Saturday.
Oh man, let's have some fun in this movie.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.